Bun găsit, am revenit în direct pentru ultima transmisiune de aici, de la Forumul Antreprenorilor din București. Am un invitat din Polonia, Piotr Bialowas. Întotdeauna am probleme cu numele poloneze. Piotr este vicepreședinte executiv la o companie de consultanță și investiții, INC Investments and Consulting. Welcome, Piotr.
It's a pleasure.
Are you here as a hunter or as an observer?
None of both. We just don't limit ourselves to observe, we engage. We are the authorized advisor for the aero markets of Bucharest Stock Exchange, so we're definitely here to advise, encourage the companies to seek finance from the investors and list businesses. And we are also, of course, willing to put the money in the growth companies.
Have you found any interesting company? I know you are already a shareholder in Bitnet, but have you found any other interesting candidates?
Yes, we truly believe that Bitnet is one of very many examples of growth companies here in Romania, especially in the most promising sectors. I do believe that more will come. We are attending the workshops organized by the Bucharest Stock Exchange and by different bodies engaged on the capital market. So we are trying to engage also in a dialogue with the entrepreneurs to get the message across that there is a market tailored to their needs, that there is a proposition coming from the Bucharest Stock Exchange, and also getting the message across to the investors that there's a promising investment coming, because I think it's above any dispute that SMEs are the engines of the Romanian economy. So the question is if this will be the engine made of 4 cylinders or 5, maybe of 6, and if we'll be able to deliver also a turbocharger to make it really efficient engine for the Romanian economy.
Because you are from Poland, tell us a little bit about the Polish experience. How is the ecosystem? Because it was a very used word today. Ecosystem in Poland.
In fact, everybody is involved in the ecosystem, which works for the benefit for everyone, for the economy, for the startups that once properly managed and properly founded can move to the next level, which means the level of early stage company. We can consider different founding options like listing them on the alternative market, then making them candidates to move up to the next league. Moving up to the main market. So I think that this is like the ecosystem that based on a cooperation and the partnership. This is all done like for the companies, for the people, for the country. So it's like really the ecosystem that with a purpose.
What do you think about the European funds? We have this experience at Startup Cafe. We have a special section called Financing with European Funds, and our readers are really interested to start a business with European funds. Is there any how should I say, discrepancy between European funds and venture capital? Are they excluding each other, or are they working together very well?
Yes, again, I think that both entities or both solutions are a part of the ecosystem, which means that it's a common knowledge that to stimulate the development of startup community, you need to provide the EU funding or the state money, because quite often the state acts as a first investor, the least risk-averse investor. So there must be some kind of incentives to attract private investors. In Poland, we did it this way, that heavily using EU funds to establish new companies. The funding went through the incubators and accelerators, but they provide not only advice, but they also provide funding, which is like the most essential for the entrepreneurs. So I think that we've been through all pain and gains with these schemes. We can dispute, you can learn by our own mistakes if it should be this way or another, but definitely we need to provide some kind of incentives, and providing this kind of incentive that this is the EU funding or the state, which is the first investor in a startup. This is a huge incentive for private investors. So in fact, it was not only the EU funding or the state funding that supported the growth of startups, but it was just the first investors and then the private investors joined. So to be more precise, it was like a syndicated investment. So the sources from the EU funding or the state and the private investors, those 3 or 2 sources of finance has been like the primary one for establishing a new companies. I think it's wherever we look at the development of new projects or new branches like renewable energy, biotechnology, there is always some kind of incentive to attract the money to these branches, to create like a friendly environment both for the entrepreneurs and the investors to make this bridge between them.
If certain founders of a company start to think about going on capital market, this should be a plan on short term or a strategy on long term?
Well, in a business, it pays off to be focused on the long term. So we represent the patient capital, and also the investors operating on the Bucharest Stock Exchange demonstrate also this patient approach. Also because, and this is like a very operational approach, if you like to make use of the stock exchange, if you like to make use of EU fundings, you need to plan in the long term. So you can embrace all opportunities like increasing the capital, attracting the capital to the company, then maybe making some partial exit, making a takeover, building incentives for your employees based on the stock option plans, and many different. Only when you have this long-term perspective in mind, because it will not happen like over 1 week, 1 month or 1 year, but over 3, 4 or 5 years, using the stock exchange functions, using these opportunities. I truly believe that we can help the companies to grow, to move to the next stage, to move from the startup to the small one, to the medium size, and maybe to the large and international ones. But definitely this is not like a sprint, this is a marathon for sure.
And one last short question, do you have your own portfolio on the stock market?
Yes, I do. I'm like a subject of many restrictions as a vice president of INC, as a CEO of Carpathia Capital, but definitely the first function, the first feature of an investor is to put the money in. Of course, I face the risk, I mitigate this risk, but I accept this risk and I put my money in, of course.
Thank you very much, Piotr.